I'm going to
show
give you
you a chance.
No, you're not giving me a chance, bro. At all. If you want to give me a chance, walk away now. I don't need a chance. I don't need a chance. I don't need to prove to you anything. I'm trying to help you with the question that you brought to me, bro.
So you can't quote a modern scholar and say he trumps a scholar from before.
You don't even believe in Josephus anyway, so let's
What are you talking about believe? Josephus is an individual who wrote history.
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't believe in him? I'm saying let's look at his evidence, and you're not allowing that discussion to happen.
Just humour me.
Okay,
Just humour me.
okay, hear me.
Let's say I'm an idiot. Let's say I'm crazy.
No, there's no need
Let's
to.
say I'm-
Why are you saying? No
Let's
one's
say
saying
I'm a
this.
moron.
No one is saying that. Why are you denigrating? Calm down.
No.
You're being very emotional. Will you go back in time, and what happens to the population of man?
Very few of them.
They get less and less and less and less until you come to, this is using your scientific head, the first human beings who were able to procreate and bring on children. Yeah?
Yes.
Let's forget their names. How many were there?
2 probably. I still. I can understand the science doesn't make sense, I'll be honest with you.
What doesn't make sense?
The idea that this whole world came by chance, or the Big Bang didn't have an existence, the Big Bang must have had a cause. I understand your argument regarding that.
I haven't made that argument.
No, but I'm just saying, the religious argument is that the Big Bang.
You've heard an argument, and you understand that argument.
Okay. The point is, Islam has copied elements of Christianity and Judaism, and it's come up with its own version. That's what I believe.
Based upon what?
Just the Adam and Eve story. You obviously eat halal food, yes? Yeah. Where did halal come from? It came from kosher, a Jewish tradition.
So your contention is that because both of these religions have similar stories and practices, that the later one copied from the earlier one.
Yes, because
Is that the only possibility?
well, the Bible came before the Quran. I'm sure you would agree with me.
Yeah. So is that the only possibility? That's the question.
Yes. So where did you get your sources from?
Okay. So of these religions? Let's take Islam because I'm a Muslim.
Yes.
What is the Muslim understanding of the reasons for these similarities?
Well, they believe the Adam and Eve were the first human beings.
No. You're misunderstanding. I'm not asking you for the story. I'm asking you for the explanation for the similarities in the stories between the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims.
Regarding what? What exactly? You have to be more specific.
So what you've said is that their stories are similar and one copied. So therefore, in your mind, one copied the other.
Yes.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yes.
So what I'm asking you is, that's your conclusion that you've come to.
Yes.
What is the explanation that the people who adhere to Islam give for this similarity? Because you said you researched the religion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you must have come across the Muslim explanation for the said similarity. What's the reason?
Well, the Muslims always say the same thing. They
Which is
just
what?
that everything in the Quran is true, and the Adam and Eve story. We believe Adam and Eve were the first human beings, but we don't believe the whole Christian idea of sin originated. Because obviously Christians go further than that. They
So
don't just believe
you're sort of not answering my question. I understand what you're saying.
that. Maybe I don't understand what you're saying.
I'll clarify again then. So you say that the Quran contains the story of Adam and Eve, and the Bible contains the story of Adam and Eve. The Bible came first, the Quran came second.
Yes.
Okay? And then you say that the Quran therefore copied from the Bible. That's your contention.
Yes. Some of it.
So what I'm asking you, so copied some elements from there.
Yes.
So what I'm asking you is, what is the Muslim, because you said you researched the religions.
Yes.
So you must have come across the Muslim answer to this question before. What answer did you come across?
Well, they said, from what I've gathered, is that they're saying that it was written down in the Quran. It's always the same thing that they always say. Okay, you give me.
What's your name, brother?
Salman.
Imran. Nice to meet you.
My brother's called Imran.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Right? We've had discussion.
Yeah. You're the guy who was on the Majid Awards show.
So what I would say to you is something very simple. I would say to you that all of these religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, have the same source.
Yes. Yeah, but you have different books, right? You guys have the Quran, the Christians have the Bible. Yes.
Okay. But they all come from, we believe, the same source.
Which is God.
Which is God. So therefore, if God is conveying or reconveying the message, why wouldn't there be similarities? Because the story hasn't changed.
Why not have one book then? Why is God having 3 books?
That's a different question. So we can come to that. But do you understand the first question you've asked about is why were there similarities?
Okay.
Okay, so the reason that there are similarities is because the source is the same. They both come from the Creator. So the Creator revealed the Torah to Moses, the Creator revealed the Injil to Jesus, and the Creator revealed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. So it would be illogical to find different stories for the same events. In fact, it's logical that they are the same, and this confirms the origin is the same. You understand? So that's the point for Islam rather than against Islam.
Yeah, but Islam doesn't need to have influences from other religions, don't you think?
You haven't understood what I've said to you.
No, I understand what you're trying to say, that it's very similar.
No, I've not said that at all. See, this is the thing. I have not talked about influence, I'm not talking about similarities. I said the source is the same. Imagine you have a professor. I'm going to give an example to give you. Like you have a professor.
Yeah.
He teaches history of a particular event, history of a particular event.
Yeah.
He teaches you. He teaches your grandson.
Yes.
The same professor.
Yes.
What are you going to teach you and your grandson for this historical event going to be similar or not similar?
Similar.
Why is that? Because it's the same professor.
Yes.
Okay. Does the fact that they are similar detract from what he's teaching you?
No, it doesn't.
So Islam, Judaism, Christianity have the same source in the Muslim understanding. God revealed the different texts over different times to different people, and of course, when they talk about the same thing, like the Adam and Eve story, there are going to be similarities. It's not influence; it's the source which is the same.
Okay, I'll give you another. I'll give you a quick one.
So do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand. I believe that there's elements of, okay, we're going to go to your religion, forget Christianity. We'll go to what you believe in. You believe Jesus was never crucified, am I mistaken?
No.
Do you believe Jesus was crucified?
I said you're not mistaken.
I've actually looked into it. I've looked into historical evidence. I know the question. I've looked into historical evidence. There's a very good chance that he was crucified. It could even be a historical fact that he was crucified. So basically, the Quran has got it wrong there very quickly.
Okay, 1 second. So first, let's just make sure we've put a line underneath your previous discussion.
Yes,
You
we're
understand
something else now.
So you understand now that the Quran having an Adam and Eve story that is similar to the Bible is because this origin is the same, nothing to do with influence per se. Okay, you understand? Now you've changed the topic to the crucifixion. Okay, so first of all, what's your understanding of what the Quran says about the crucifixion?
They say that Jesus was not crucified and Allah put him up in the sky, or someone who looked like him. What is it?
Me. You know, I'll be honest with you. If you're gonna make an argument,
So you're saying that's not what Muslims believe? I'm lying now, am I?
let me finish my sentence. Okay, and then maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, go on, say what you want to say.
So if you're going to make a statement and a claim about the position of my religion, for example, on a topic, it's reasonable that you give an accurate account of what that position is. You did. So I asked you, what does the Quran say about the crucifixion event?
It says Jesus was not crucified. You agree with me, right? That's what you guys
Does
believe.
it say anything else?
That Allah put him in the sky.
Does it say anything else?
Someone who looked like Jesus was crucified.
Well, it doesn't say that. So this is the problem we're having.
Okay. 2 of the 3 I've got right.
No, but you're missing the most important thing.
Okay, what have I missed? Go on, tell me. Enlighten me.
But this is the whole point, brother. If you're gonna be serious about having a disagreement,
I just got 2 of the 3 things right, and now you're making more excuses.
No, the one thing that answers your question, you haven't even put it forward.
Okay, what is that?
That's the point I'm making.
I'm going to give you a chance.
No, you're not giving me a chance, bro. At all. If you want to give me a chance, walk away now. I don't need a chance. I don't need a chance. I don't need to prove to you anything. I'm trying to help you with the question that you brought to me, brother.
You're telling me Jesus wasn't crucified,
No, I've not said that at all. I'm trying to help you with the question that you brought to me.
Please answer my question.
I'm going to do it. I don't want to do it in a willy-nilly way, without any depth, without any thinking. I want to do it properly, with depth and thinking.
When we come
Please answer my question.
I will. I'm brother. I'm trying to do it.
Okay, go.
But I don't do things like done.
All right, okay.
I'm trying to get you to understand what the position is.
Okay, go on.
So what does the Quran say? In which chapter does it say? Which verse does it say? Do you know? No. Okay.
you tell.
Chapter for verse 157. What does it say?
That Jesus was not crucified. I didn't say I was a Quranic scholar, by the way. I did not say I was a Quranic scholar. I'm not going to give you every ayah or verse in the Quran.
You said to me that you'd researched the religions.
I researched what you believe. Did I say I read every line in the Quran? Did I know every word in the Quran? Did I say
Okay.
that?
So if you're saying to me that you've researched the history of the crucifixion,
Yes.
which is what you said to me,
Yes.
and you've looked at the Quran, and it appears that the Quran is wrong on this,
Yes.
yeah, then I would assume that you've looked at the Quranic statements about the crucifixion. That's a reasonable assumption to make, right?
Yeah, but I already explained to you that you, as a Muslim, you believe Jesus was not crucified. Am I mistaken here? Am I wrong?
Yeah, brother, you're not actually missing out the information that answers your question for you in the book.
But you.
I'm telling you now that in the Quran it tells you the reason why the history records that Jesus crucified. It tells you the reason in it, and you haven't read it.
Okay, you tell me then. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I will tell you. It's not about being wrong.
Okay, you think I'm
not-
wrong?
no,
Tell
I'm
me
not-
where I'm wrong.
I'm not telling you that you're wrong, brother. You're misunderstanding
Okay,
me.
I'm right. Thank you. I'm right. Explain to me what you're trying to say.
I'm trying to say that you haven't done the research you're claiming that you'd have done.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Tell me where
Very
my
directly.
research is wrong.
I'm
Tell
telling
me
you where it says. So what does it say in the Quran about the crucifixion? You don't know? I will tell you what it says.
Okay, go on, you tell me.
So I'm going to paraphrase for you because you're paraphrasing to me.
Okay.
It says he wasn't crucified, he wasn't killed,
Yes.
but what?
It was made to look like he was.
It appeared unto, no, it wasn't made to look like, it appeared unto them so. What does that mean?
They thought,
Who was they?
his disciples or his followers thought that he had been crucified.
So it says he wasn't killed, he wasn't crucified, but it looked like he was.
Okay, yes.
Okay. So if it
Does
looked
that
like,
make sense?
yes. So if it looked like he was, what's history going to record? I'm asking a straightforward question. What's history going to record?
So it look, okay. So
No. Answer my question.
yeah,
What-
okay, history will say it happened.
Okay. So where is the contradiction?
But is history right or is history wrong? That's the question you should be
No.
answering.
What's history recording?
History recorded that he was crucified.
And did the Quran say that it appeared like he was crucified?
Yeah, but is the Quran saying history is right or wrong? Shouldn't the Quran make a judgment on that? Whether history is right or wrong?
Brother, see
The
now.
Quran is supposed to know everything, right? The Quran is supposed to be right.
Well, the
about
Quran makes a
everything.
statement. You didn't even understand the point.
It makes a statement. That's it.
No, you're misunderstanding.
The Quran is playing games here. You see,
Not
the
at all.
Quran is
It's very
seem to be
straightforward.
playing
It's very- It says he wasn't killed, he wasn't crucified, but it appeared like he was. Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay.
But then it confirms. But for definitely, he was not killed. It says that in affirmation, and everything they say is conjecture. Okay. Now you're saying to me, well, in the history book, and you haven't given any historical
Okay,
extra
I'll do
biblical
that.
evidence.
Yeah,
We'll do that in a
you have to let
second.
me talk.
We'll do that.
Okay, go
Okay,
on.
you tell me then. Because I asked you for ages and you said you didn't know.
Okay.
So give me evidence.
I'm going to give you two historians. I'm sure you've heard of these people. I'm sure you've heard of Badi Ehrman. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Really? Bart Ehrman,
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of him.
historian,
Or he's a theologian. He studied the New Testament of the
biblical
Bible.
scholar.
Yeah, biblical scholar. Has he studied the New Testament of the Bible?
He may have, yeah.
Yeah, he may have.
Yeah.
He may have.
Let's say he
He's
has.
wrote 10
Of course
books.
he has.
He's
I'm
wrote
just
10
joking
books.
with you, my
Okay,
friend.
that's funny. That's good. That's good
You
job.
understand sarcasm?
Yeah, okay. He has. Okay, let's not play games. He has studied the Bible. He knows the Bible more than you do and I do.
Yeah, combined.
I'm humble. I'm not arrogant. I'm a humble
I'm
man.
great.
I'm not going to say I know more than Badi Ehrman. I don't.
Great.
Okay, he knows more than me and you do.
Combined. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good. We got somewhere. Now the point is this: Badi Ehrman says that there's no way that Badi Ehrman says that Jesus was not crucified, or maybe he was made to look like he was crucified. This is nonsense. Badi Ehrman would never say that. Only a Muslim is going to say that. Someone who has studied the Bible, someone who studied Christianity, someone who's looked into the life of Jesus. Because remember, Badi Ehrman is not a Christian. I'm sure you know that. He's not a Christian. But he knows that there was a man called Jesus, he did exist, and he was crucified for high treason. Not the things that Christians say. Christians say that he was crucified to die for our sins, or it's the Jews' fault, or whatever excuse the Christians are going to come up with. But there is no denying the fact that Jesus of Nazareth was crucified for high treason. Case closed.
Okay, so that's your. So you've given me a biblical scholar and a historian.
Reza Razdan, I'm sure you've heard of Reza.
Reza Aslan is a biblical scholar, historian.
Okay, Josephus.
Okay, what does Josephus say? Now you come to a primary source, you're saying,
Okay.
historian. Now you're getting somewhere. So tell me what Josephus says.
Josephus said there was a man called Jesus and he was crucified.
That's not what he said.
So he wasn't crucified.
No, that's not what Josephus said.
So Josephus said Jesus was not crucified. Is that
No.
what you're telling me?
What you've said to me that Josephus said is not what he said.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying to you.
So, but does,
So
does Jesus believe that Jesus was crucified?
Let's
That is the
analyze.
question.
Let's analyze this. Okay. What did Josephus write in his book?
He talked about Jesus.
I'll tell you what he wrote. Okay, he talked about Jesus, but we can be as general as we like. So Josephus, when was he around?
A long time ago.
Yeah,
You want me to give me the exact
yeah, I
date?
do. Because you said you looked at 150 AD approximately, yeah?
Okay, long time.
Okay, long time
of
ago.
Jesus, yes.
After the time of Jesus.
After the time of Jesus.
After the
yes,
time
after
of
the time of
Jesus. He's a
Jesus.
historian. He's recording
Okay.
the narratives that people have given you.
Okay.
What's the earliest extant manuscript of his text that we have? I'll rephrase that for you. Of his writings, which is the earliest one that we have that exists now?
Before we go into this,
No, this is historiography.
yeah, before we go into this, are you just rejecting everything Badi Ehrman has said? By the way,
I haven't got to that yet. I'll come to that. Josephus
because you went from Badi Ehrman to
Josephus is the first historian you've given me.
Okay, but
You've given me two biblical scholars,
Yeah, okay.
and I've said to you that you've given me a historian. So I'm going to give me Josephus first, and I'll come to Bart Ehrman, and
Yeah,
I'll
but
come
do
to
you
the other
think-
people.
do you accept that Badi Ehrman could be right?
Can we come back to that?
Regardless of talking about Josephus, Josephus is going way back. We're talking about someone very present. Badi
No,
Ehrman's
but
still
you,
alive.
but you need to be closer to the event, not later from the event.
Yeah, I know, but
So you can't quote a modern scholar and say he trumps a scholar from
you
before.
don't even believe in Josephus anyway. So let's
What are
be
you talking
honest.
about believe? Josephus is an individual who wrote history.
Yeah.
What do you mean I don't believe in him? I'm saying let's look at his evidence, and you're not allowing that discussion to happen.
Okay,
So I'm asking you a very simple question. Josephus wrote around 150 AD,
yes.
and I'm asking you, of his work that we have now that exists, his earliest work,
Yes.
when is it dated from?
I don't have the exact date.
Okay, 1187.
What's this got to do with it?
I'm telling you exactly what it's got. You're not letting me, you're getting very agitated for me.
Okay, go on.
That means the works that we have that was from Josephus are 1,000 years plus after Josephus was around.
Okay, and
Okay,
what's the
okay.
point?
How did they come to us? They came to us through the people who collected it, which were Christian hands. So Josephus was a Jew,
Yes, I'm
Okay.
not saying he isn't. Yes.
and in the text that's attributed to him, from which we have existent 1,000 years later, it says that this man is the Messiah. Jews don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah.
Yes.
And it says, and it says other things about Jesus in that a Jew would not have written. So when you historically analyse this, we know one thing. Josephus mentions Jesus, we know this. The things that are attributed about Jesus that are in that text wouldn't have been written by a Jew. Josephus was a Jew. So there has been some manipulation of that text between that and the 1,000 years later manuscript that we have now. So that's the first. If you're going to analyse the history, you do that.
Okay, well,
Secondly-
I would say what you're saying is an opinion. I don't think this is a fact. I think this is.
Really, you need to look.
I think it's an opinion.
Okay, no problem. No problem. You go. Don't take my word for it. Go and look up Josephus and the history of the mention of Jesus. You look it up for yourself,
Yeah,
and you can find out, and then you can don't have to take my opinion. You can take other people's opinions.
I agree.
the se-
I
okay,
agree
the
that he
second point.
was. I'm not saying everything 100% he's saying is true.
Okay, good.
But I do believe he mentioned Jesus, and he did talk about
Sure. Okay.
who Jesus.
Secondly, if a historian writes down the opinions of other people, and in the opinions of other people, they have said that they think that Jesus was crucified,
Yes.
then the Quran says that it appeared to them that he had been crucified. Then there is no contradiction in the terms. There's no contradiction. So the Quran is not saying that Jesus was crucified and it didn't happen. It says Jesus wasn't crucified nor killed, but it appeared unto them so. They thought that it had happened.
Yeah, but does the Quran give any explanation of what actually did happen?
Yeah. It says God raised him.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna.
So now, hang on, wait a second. So I just want to summarise a little bit. Okay. So initially we spoke about the similarities between the stories of Adam and Eve in the Bible and the Quran.
Yes.
And we explained that the reason similarities can exist is because the source is the same.
Yes.
You accepted that, right?
Yes.
Now you've raised this idea that the Quran says that Jesus wasn't crucified,
Yes.
but history records that he probably was crucified.
Yes.
So I've mentioned the Quran says that it appeared unto them so. So history is recording this apparent appearance. Okay.
Okay.
So there's no contradiction again.
Okay, but as you already explained, Islam goes further. It says he was put up in the sky. Am I mistaken? That's what.
So Jews and Christians both believe that Jesus was raised to heaven.
Okay. Now think about this rationally. What makes more sense? Jesus was raised up into heaven, or he was crucified for high treason? What makes more sense?
So these are two different events. So I don't know why you're saying
No,
all.
just
So-
humour me.
okay,
Just humour me.
okay, hear me.
Let's say I'm an idiot. Let's say I'm crazy.
No, there's no need
Let's
to.
say I'm-
Why are you saying? No
let's
one's
say
saying
I'm a
this.
moron.
No one is saying that. Why are you denigrating? Calm down.
No.
You're being very emotional.
No. I'm just playing games. I'm playing games here.
I don't want to play games. If you want to play games, then we can end it now. I don't want to play games. I don't want to play games. I'm very serious. I'm telling you why I'm here.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay, go on.
If you can't handle what I've got to say, I'm not forcing it. You can leave. Did I force you to come speak to me?
Listen, you've come to us, brother.
Yeah,
I'm standing
if you
here.
don't want to speak to me, I can go. I've got other stuff. I can eat. I haven't even
Up to you, brother.
But the point I'm making is...
Do you want me to get you some food?
No, I've got money. Don't worry, I've got money. I've got money.
Okay.
I'm just saying I could be eating instead of speaking to you, but I'm so nice. I'm speaking to you instead of eating.
Very, very kind of you to speak to me.
My belly's probably rumbling, making noises. But anyway, the point is this. The point I'm making is it makes... I'm not saying I'm an intelligent man. The point I'm making is it makes more sense to say that Jesus was crucified for high treason than Allah put him up in the sky. It's not anyone with a brain knows it makes more sense to say that this man was crucified, he died, then Allah or God put him up in the sky. Come on, it's common sense.
Okay. What are you basing that on, please?
I'm basing on using your brain. It's about using your brain. I'm not a genius, but I'm an intelligent enough man to understand.
So you're an atheist, right?
Yes.
You don't believe in miracles.
No, I don't.
Okay, so this is the problem that we're having. So before we can deal with supernatural events, before we can deal with them. So Muslims and Jews and Christians believe in the parting of the Red Sea. We believe in Jesus bringing back people life from the dead.
Yeah,
we believe in
the virgin birth, the resurrection.
We believe in these, which you as an atheist discount. Okay, so hang on a second. So everything in the Bible that you disagree with, you're ignoring, and you're picking this one thing and you're saying it makes more sense that he was killed and then raised up. You're saying he was raised up or not raised up?
He was definitely not raised up.
Even the Bible says that he was raised up.
Well, then the Bible is wrong. I'm not a
Okay,
Christian.
so then you can't be arguing for something that you think is wrong. We need to really deal. We need to really deal with what's underlying, and that's the atheism to start with. So the first question really between us
is a historical fact. As an atheist, I cannot deny it. I'm not a Christian. I'm an atheist.
What is a historical fact, brother?
It's a historical fact that there was a guy called Jesus and he died on the cross. Are you telling me
No, I'm
it's not an opinion?
Who was he and what was he here for?
He was a revolutionary, he was a criminal. That's what
That's how people know.
That's
it.
historians.
It's Jewish.
So the problem is this, brother. Historical facts, in inverted commas, are the recording of opinions. Are recording of the opinions of the people of the time. A recording of the opinions of the people of the time. Now, so it's very interesting that you want to come and argue for a recorded opinions of people in history as a fact, and use that at some point somehow against the Quran, which doesn't really work, because I've explained to you that the Quran also says that it appears like he was crucified.
I think the Quran is playing games. If you
No,
want to
it's being very straightforward with you.
The Quran is saying it appears to him that he was crucified.
Not to him, to
It
them.
appears to them that he was crucified, and then Allah put him up in the sky.
Allah raised him up instead.
Allah raised him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what the problem here is that where your issue you're having is with a supernatural event. Now we can't deal with the supernatural event until we deal with the thing that's causing you to not accept supernatural events can exist. Now for me, having our conversation between us, I think the reason that you can't accept that is because you're an atheist. So the first thing we need to deal with, if we're going to deal with it, if you want to deal with it, is there a God or not? Because then we can get on to the other things.
Well, you know my answer. I don't believe there's a God.
Okay, so I understand your answer. So the question would be, how did you arrive at this? Why do you believe that?
Well, there's many reasons, but I think there's many reasons, but I don't. The science argument, I'll say quickly, by the way, the science argument, I can understand people's concerns. I can understand why people think science doesn't make any sense. That's not why I became an atheist. I think my concern is the two main figures. Both religions are based on one man. Christianity is based on Jesus. Islam is based on Muhammad. If Muhammad is not the prophet, if Jesus is not a prophet, God or son or whatever it is, then religion is finished basically. Then you don't need to get the God into it, because God becomes irrelevant.
I hear what you're saying.
Do you understand my argument? Yeah.
So let me give you a different perspective. So I would say to you, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Noah, throughout history, there have been people who've made the same claim, that there is a creator, he has spoken to us, this is the message that he's given, and the message is usually monotheism and worshipping your God without partners. Now this is ubiquitous, it's found in all continents, in all societies. If you take a religion like Hinduism, for example, there's an ultimate Brahma who is the God, then there are gods below him. There's always an ultimate being. If you go to even the...
I agree with you,
Sure.
I agree with you, you're right.
So the Islamic understanding is that God sent prophets into the world, all with the same message. Worship God alone without partners. That was the basic message. And that has been consistent throughout history. So I don't believe that a religion started with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I believe there was a continuation of the message. I don't believe a religion started with Jesus, peace be upon him, but there was a continuation of the message. So I don't believe.
So from Adam he was the first man, and the full truth was admitted to this.
And that's been, and mankind has been constantly re-reminded of the same truth.
Okay, I've got,
Which is why Muslims believe in the Torah and they believe in the Injil.
I'll explain to you
and
very quickly. That's another reason why I became an atheist. The Adam and Eve story, I don't believe Adam and Eve existed. So that will debunk your claim about religion.
Why don't you believe Adam and Eve?
That debunks your whole claim.
Why?
That means religion, that just destroys you guys.
Why did you believe that Adam and Eve didn't exist?
Okay, name me one historian on this earth who said that Adam and Eve existed. One.
Historian?
Give me one person who believes Adam and Eve existed. Historian. We know.
That goes all the way back to the Bible.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
The point I'm making is there is no proof that Adam and Eve existed. That is the point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Do you have a mother and father?
Don't change the subject.
No, it's on the topic. Do you have a mother and father?
Yes, I do, of course.
Okay, take that far back as you can go. Use your scientific atheism to do that.
Yeah.
Far back as you can go. Where are you going to get to?
We're going to get to the Big Bang and chimpanzees.
No.
We're not going to get to Adam
The
and
Big
Eve.
Bang happened way before the chimpanzees.
Yeah, but
And the chimpanzees and humans split about 6 million years ago. So we're not talking about that. I'm talking to you about the first human being.
yeah, we're not Adam and Eve. We don't even know what their names are.
Well, okay. Let's say you don't know the names. I'm not even arguing that. Will you go back in time, and what happens to the population of man? Go back in time. What happens to the population of man? Increases or decreases?
Increases.
If you go back in time,
Yeah, there were very few of them.
they get less and less and less and less until you come to, this is using your scientific head, the first human beings who were able to procreate and bring on children. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Let's forget their names. How many were there?
Two probably. But it still doesn't prove Adam and Eve.
It proves that there were two human beings in the beginning. You've already admitted there's two human beings in the beginning who started off the progeny which we now call mankind.
Yeah, but that's what science says. Science says there was the first chimp.
So now,
Science doesn't say there was the first man and
we
woman.
have a correlation between the religious stories of Adam and Eve and your scientific viewpoint on where the first human beings came from.
So if Adam and Eve
So now, what's in, brother? So now what that means is your objection is not founded anywhere.
No, but the point is, did Adam and Eve exist? That is the point.
Yes.
What's your proof?
So there's many proofs. Human history records it. So by human history, as in human, if you look at what humans have told each other for time immemorial, they've talked about the first man and first woman. It's in every single narrative. Yeah. Even your scientific view of how humans came into the earth, and if you go back in time, leads to the first human beings. So I don't understand what you're saying. What you're arguing with is I don't know their names, and that's it. So there's a limit on how far back we can look, right?
Okay, the point I'm making very simple. It's like, if Adam and Eve never existed, let's say, for example, let's say I'm right. You think I'm wrong? Whatever. Let's say I'm right. Let's say this atheist is right. Let's say Adam and Eve never existed. Can religion still survive? Is religion still right?
Well, the fact that you're here means that the first humans were here.
Yeah, but does it still prove that there is a God?
So the fact that you're here shows that the first humans were here. So then Adam and Eve existed.
Yeah, but does that prove God exists? Did God make Adam and Eve?
So yes.
Because there has to come
It's
from
an
somewhere.
opinion.
It's
It's an opinion. It's just your opinion. It's just an opinion.
But we all have opinions.
It's not a fact.
It's not about opinions. It's about having evidence for your opinion.
Yeah, but
so I've given you. Wait a second. I've given you two pieces of evidence. One piece of evidence is that your own agreement that they were the first human beings. They had to be the first human beings for us to be here now. Yeah, will you agree with that? Okay. Second thing is I've talked about that all of the human civilizations talk about the original man and woman. They all talk about them in their narratives. And every creation story, a creation myth, whatever you want to call it, human history records this. So we have two pieces of information that
It doesn't mean
corroborate.
it's true. That's what you don't understand. It doesn't mean it's true.
What do you mean
Just
by
because people are talking about it doesn't mean it's true. I could be talking about Santa Claus. Doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, but why are you
I
bringing
could be
Santa
talking
Claus?
about. I'm just giving you. I'm giving an example. Hear me out.
Okay.
I could be talking about Batman. Doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with our topic? Batman is a fictional character.
So is Adam and Eve.
No. Batman's
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
We can
You're not using your brain.
we can speak to the person who invented Batman, who drew the comics. We
Can you speak to the person who invented Adam and Eve? No.
No, not invented.
who made him. Can we speak to the person who made
Well,
Adam and
he's
Eve?
spoken to you.
Creation.
He's spoken to
Through the
you.
Quran.
Absolutely. He's spoken to you. But you're ignoring the evidence. So,
Ali asked him a question, can you name one historian to talk about Adam and Eve? And he said, I can't, therefore Adam and Eve never existed. Can you name one biologist who observed evolution?
Evolution is a big.
No, did anyone observe evolution?
Most scientists agree with it. Are you telling me most scientists don't agree with evolution?
That's opinion, then, isn't it? Because no one observed evolution. Likewise, he said there is not a single historian who can talk about Adam and Eve. So based on your standards, evolution never happened because no one observed
But
evolution.
that's not why I became atheist. Evolution.
why did you become an atheist?
I became atheist
Because the Adam and Eve thing doesn't make sense.
Okay.
to you.
No.
But you're a
I'll tell you
Muslim.
what, I'll tell you
so
what,
of course
no,
you're
no.
going to tell me that.
Why is that?
You're not an atheist, are you? Of course you're going to disagree with me.
No, brother. No.
This is not a surprise.
I don't disagree with you because of who I am. I will disagree with you because what you're saying to me doesn't make sense.
No, because
if
you're
you bring me,
Muslim and I'm an atheist.
if you bring me something that's true, I'll tell you that's true.
It doesn't matter what I give you, you're not going to understand. I could be here all night.
What do you
I
mean?
could be here all day.
So
You
what
still
you're
won't understand.
what you're saying is I'm insincere.
No, what I'm saying is that you're not going to change. Do you understand? Are you
It's
going
not
to,
about change.
Are you going to become an atheist
Look,
today?
we can look. You can stay an atheist. I can stay a Muslim. We can agree to disagree and be friends. No problem.
Yeah, but the point is,
Okay.
you're not going
The
to
point
leave
is-
Islam, are you? Come on,
Why
be
would I leave
honest.
Islam?
Exactly, be honest. You're not going to leave
No,
Islam.
no.
It doesn't matter what I say to you today.
No, you can. You disprove Islam and the Quran, and obviously I wouldn't. It would be hypocritical of me to remain a
Want
Muslim.
Muslims to leave Islam.
Yes, I would. If you want my honest opinion, yes.
Then you're going to have to bring something much better than what you're bringing.
I
my
don't
friend.
really want. I don't want. I want everyone to be atheist, to be honest.
Why?
Because that is a perfect society.
Is it
It is-
China?
No, but China, they're communists.
Yeah, but they're atheists.
Yeah, but I'm a right-wing atheist. They're left-wing
It doesn't matter.
atheist.
So these are an atheist society that's imprisoning its own people.
Look in here what's happening with the atheist society.
Yeah, but this.
700,000 children referred to the doctors as with the mental health issues.
Yeah, but
And
that's,
the statistics rise by 48% in the last 2 years. And you think it's a
People
perfect
just live
society?
life without,
Are you joking?
So what happened? Did you have did you have some bad experience when you were growing up, or were your parents horrible to you, or
my mum was my amazing.
so what happened that made you like this?
Because Islam is full of lies. Why do you think I'm here?
no.
Why am I wasting my time?
What lies are you
I could
talking
be
about?
at home right now eating food. Why am I here?
You keep. I don't know why you're here.
I'm
trying
here
to find out.
because I'm here to tell you the truth. Why am I wasting my time here
What truth
today?
have you told me?
That your religion is a lie. Don't you get it? You don't listen to words coming out of my
But
mouth.
what I want you to do
Am I
though.
speaking English?
What I want you to do is, rather than just say it, bring some evidence for it.
I've given you Ba'diyam and I've given you Reza Razdan and I've given you
So what-
historical evidence. I've quoted from your Quran.
Let me summarize.
from the Quran
Let me
even.
summarize something for you. So first, you said to me you thought that the similarities in the narratives of Adam and Eve's story that you find in the Old Testament and you find in the Quran show signs of copying, and I explained that this was because of a common origin. Okay, you agree
But
with
did you
that?
get that
Why is it-
story from Christianity? Yes or no?
No, it came from the same place where the Christian story came from.
But did
the
Christianity
creator.
come before Islam? Yes or no?
Listen, mate, you're,
Come on, this
that
is
doesn't make
common
sense.
sense.
It's not common. It's silly. It's silly.
No, you're being silly.
Did the professor who taught you and your grandson? So what came first? You came first, or your grandson came
Okay,
first?
this is
what you're asking me.
You're gonna answer my own question for me. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
go on.
it's very simple. I'm sure you can understand it. I'm sure you can answer this question. What came first, the Bible or the Quran?
The Creator revealed the Quran and the Bible. That's the problem you're missing.
You're wasting
See,
my time.
Okay then, I'm sorry. Nice to meet you. Wish you all the best, okay? Well, take care. Good luck. Go and gentlemen. Subhanallah. So, brothers and sisters, this is really interesting. So what we have here is an example of an atheist who came with a couple of points. So the first point that the brother came with was that he didn't believe in Islam because the Quran and the Old Testament had similar stories about Adam and Eve. So then I explained the reason for this was because they had the origin of them were from the same society. The origin was from the Creator. And of course, when the Creator would talk about these similar events, there would be some similarities in them. This is nothing about copying or anything at all. The second thing he then raised, and moved on to another topic, is about the crucifixion. He said that the crucifixion most definitely happened according to history. So I asked him to elaborate further, even though he claimed that he'd read into the history of these two things, and he wasn't able to give me the Quranic statement which says that Jesus was neither crucified nor killed, but it appeared unto them so. So the history recording that Jesus was crucified, peace be upon him, doesn't contradict the Quranic narrative, because the Quran says, yeah, it appeared that way, but gives an alternative explanation. So we moved on from this point to the non-existence of Adam and Eve. He didn't believe Adam and Eve existed, so he's an atheist. And we spoke about, if you go back in human lifetimes and human genetics, you come to the first man and first woman. And then we spoke about all of history. People have spoken about the origin of man and talk about the first man and first woman. The brother was unfortunately unable to continue the discussion any further, but we have this inconsistency in the thinking process. And all I advise is that if you're going to take a position or change your position, really base that upon evidence and not just emotion or hearsay. Assalamu alaikum, brothers.